So I'm here at Rainbo. This is Steve Sheldon.
Yeah.
Good to meet you, sir. Steve, you have. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You started here in.
Started here in 1971.
In 1971.
While I was going to college, printing record labels.
And you're a printer.
My goal was to own my own printing company, and Jack Brown, who owns Rainbo, when I graduated, he asked me if I would consider staying on, and I liked the process, liked what we were doing, and here it is 45 years later. Still doing it.
So when did you take over the company?
Well, actually the company is still owned by the Brown Estate.
Brown Estate, right.
And I've been running it since '86. Jack did a lot of traveling, but he was very involved through pretty much up to the time he passed away, which is 2003. So he lived to be 90.
Wow, that's a good innings.
3 days short of his 91st birthday.
Oh, good innings.
Yeah, and he was here, came in a lot.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, he loved it.
So he started it, you were saying, in 39?
Yeah. Started making cardboard recording discs, and then evolved into making these flexi records and then conventional records. And the reason we're around is we just kept moving with the industry. So when cassettes were around, we made cassettes, and
I've done cassettes as well.
Yeah, and then CDs. And the one thing that we were very smart about, or stupid, it depends on who you ask, or what day you ask me, but we kept our record presses. So when the resurgence of vinyl came along, we were already prepared.
So my question is, was there any major lulls, or as the other companies kind of disappeared, were you?
Oh, in vinyl, it was in the late, early to late '90s. It was like a ghost town. I mean, we maybe made 7,000-8,000 records in a week.
Oh, that's incredible.
But we were making a lot of CDs, so that kept us going.
Right.
And then as CDs started to disappear, vinyl has come back, and that's why we're still here today.
That's amazing.
Some old pictures of Jack here. And he started out making cardboard recording discs.
Oh, wow.
And these, you could actually record on these. As a kid, my parents had a unit that you would record in. On one side looked like a regular record player, but it had a microphone, and you talk or sing into it or whatever, and it cut it, and the other side was a regular player that played it back.
Love this. It's got a Corsair on it. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then during World War II, he hooked up with the armed forces to allow servicemen or family members to record a message, send it overseas.
Oh, that's
you
fantastic.
could play it back.
Yeah.
So these people here are all lined up at Grauman's Chinese Theater, coming in to record their messages in the 40s.
That's
and what's really cool is our name's on these things here. So every few months I get an email from someone saying, hey, I found this record. My parents passed away. We're cleaning out the house. I think my dad's voice is on here, or my mom's voice will play. And it's pretty cool. And yes, they will play. And then,
that's incredible.
Then we made the first picture records.
Oh, wow. Look at that, Churchill.
And then we also made the little record that went inside the Chatty Cathy doll that was...
Oh, I know of it.
She stood about that big,
Yeah.
and you pulled the string on the back, and Chatty Cathy says goodnight, Chatty Cathy says I'm hungry, whatever. And we set up the plant in Lawndale across the street from Mattel, because we were doing a lot of stuff with Mattel, and a lot of records. And then Jack...
I love this with Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Churchill, that's great.
And then he also invented the plexi or the flexi record, the paper record, which lent itself to all sorts of uses: advertising, political messages, cardboard postcards. So people mail them out. So
I see. So So this is a plastic coating over the top of the carbon.
with a recording, and you
I
could
see.
put it in the mail. So you got Adlai Stevenson, you got Yul Brynner, Marilyn Monroe.
That's fantastic.
The most we made of anything was on the back of the Wheaties box. They made 31 million of those.
Wow. Mouseketeer Records.
Yeah.
31 million. That's incredible.
Ton.
So basically, when people say, "What's the biggest selling album
There-
song of all
there
time?"
you go.
Like,
That
there
was-
it is. It's
that
Donald Duck. The Donald Duck song.
And then when Disneyland opened up, they had a talking map. So we made that.
Oh, that is beautiful. The Legend of Davy Crockett on records. That's amazing.
And here's
This
another.
must be rare as all
Yeah,
heck.
it's pretty rare. Another one that was on the back of Wheaties box.
Oh, take me out of the volcano. Even I know that, and I'm
Yeah.
English. That's how famous that is. That's
And
incredible.
that's Jack
In 55.
in the early
Record
days.
That's great. Oh, so there was also a Rainbow in the UK.
He was hooked up with that guy in Lintone. That was
Oh, I
some
see.
involvement. I'm not sure exactly what it was. But like I was saying, it just lent itself to all kinds of applications. Little records, you could put them inside magazines, you could mail them, you could.
It's crazy. So fantastic. Look at these things. What were these playing at? 16, 78, or 45?
I think the early ones were 78, and then they were, there was some at 33 and a third. And then had a magazine also. Every other month came out with a artist of the month on the cover.
Right.
And you would cut it out and play it.
That's great.
And then we have a art department. So
Great.
we create or put things in
How you doing?
the correct format.
These are beautiful, all of these different disc colors here. Incredible. Wow. Is that difficult to do, this sort of tie-dye simulation?
Yeah, you'll see when we go
Yeah.
out in the plant. We
Crazy.
do those. We do those by hand.
You do this by
We
hand?
actually have to pour the pellets in by hand. We call them a starburst.
So every single one is completely individual?
Yeah, no two ever look alike.
Oh, that's amazing. So that you
Welcome to the Inferno. A little warm.
Having said that, we must let everybody know it's 100 degrees outside at the moment. So
Is it already?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
horrific. It's like
Normally it's, I mean, this is a heat wave, but
Yeah.
normally it's not that bad.
No.
We do have some swamp coolers and stuff, but
Right.
when it's that hot, it's pretty difficult. So we're gonna walk to the other end and then we'll come back and go
Great.
through everything. So back here we print all our own record labels. So
amazing.
we print
That was a long walk. This is a huge plant. How many
So
square
this
feet
is
is this?
50,000, and
50,000.
then we have about a mile away we have a warehouse that's another 35,000.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's huge.
So we print them 8 up, then we cut them out into sets. And then we drill the center hole
Yeah.
in the label. Have you seen a pressing plant before? Or?
No.
No, okay.
Only video, never inside of one.
Right. So we drill the center hole and then we punch it out into circles. And then the labels will get dried in an oven and then we put them on the press and they get molded right into the record.
Oh wow.
So they're not glued on afterwards where people.
Ah, that makes
people
sense.
think. They're molded right into the vinyl.
Oh, that's incredible. I used to sometimes as a kid you get a double label.
Uh-huh.
That was always kind
Still
of special.
happens.
That was special because then you got your own label.
Yeah.
Like I've got
You got a unique,
Yep.
you know.
your own copy of
It's
the
like
label.
the mint with the wrong, you know, a misstamped coin.
I mean, there's fans of these bands here that would probably die to just have one of these sheets.
Yeah.
So, this is incredible. Do you print these as well?
Yeah, we print.
Oh my God, is this a Heidelberg?
Yes.
I used to
So
be a print.
it's a 2-color, so every 4-color stuff we have to run through
It's a
twice.
2-color GTO. I used to be a printer.
Did you?
Yeah. It's a GTO Z. I used to run one of these.
So back in the day, a couple of years ago, most everything was 1 and 2-color labels,
Yeah.
but now most everything's 4-color labels. So
Damn, it's
we
been-
need to upgrade to a 4-color press
Oh
one
yeah,
of these
but
days.
I used to run 4-color. We used to run 4-color on a single-color GTO.
So you go
Yeah,
through
just run
4
an
times.
A3, wash out, come back in, run
Yeah,
again.
so we're going through twice.
Yeah, well that's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
a skilled printer
does
can
the
do
job.
it. Is that your job?
No, I don't have any press.
What do you run?
He runs a 1-color.
Right.
I got yeah.
I don't know. Printing's a skill, especially proper.
Printing's a skill. You're
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I started in this business.
You started on a press.
And down back there.
That one
Which
right
one?
there. I keep it for that reason.
It's all about balancing ink and water.
A Heidelberg windmill.
Oh wow, I've never run one of those. But yeah, it's where it picks it up and flaps it.
We used to have 6 of them. And I used to run 3, and another guy ran 3, and I started working for Rainbow in '71 part-time while I was going to college, like printing record labels.
Oh wow, so you are the success story. You start at the company, end up owning it.
Yeah,
I like that.
that is
That's
success.
amazing. That's amazing. Sorry, I'm getting a little teary-eyed about this GTO.
Get them some gloves, some
Wow.
ink. Let's dirty them up.
These are amazing. These are made in Germany, in Heidelberg. That's the name.
Incredible machines.
Incredible machines.
That windmill was built the same year I was born, '53.
Right. And probably still works.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So are these rejects are presumably?
Yeah. So back here where we punch out the paper label,
Yeah.
and then we grind up the material and we use it again.
Right.
Punching out the label.
Oh wow.
And here's where we also mix different colors because we can only buy like 8 stock colors.
Yeah.
So to make different colors, we mix different pellets together.
I see.
And so we have our high-tech cement mixer there.
Right. Oh, I remember when I was a kid, I basically started printing, and then I actually got into doing the repro stuff of like making the plates and everything. And you guys work in neg, don't you? We work in pos.
We were working in that.
Yeah, and so we used to always get your
And
stuff
then,
from America.
then to make
flip it.
art boards, we used to paste stuff with little waxing machines that you wax, and then apply onto a board.
Yeah, I remember all that. We were still taking photographs and everything, Wow, so all these are all the crazy colors.
So these are some
So
of the crazy things we're doing these days.
So we'll have to find out where you're doing it. I mean, what point are you?
Yeah, I'll show you on the press.
Okay, good.
I think we're pressing some at the moment, I believe.
Oh, you're bad brains like that. That's amazing.
And then we.
Oh, and the different shapes.
So we're constantly. People are requesting different colors
Yeah.
to be pressed. So we'll mix it up, and then we write down the formula in Spanish. And
We're in California.
yep.
Yep.
So these are all samples
It's great.
we just keep. So someone says, I want a, light purple translucent record, or
Great.
so we have to mix all that.
That's amazing. So do people come down sometimes and just look through this with you?
Yeah,
That's great.
but usually what they'll do is they'll
Send you a
They'll-
sample.
give us a PMS color.
Ah, of course.
You
Wonderful
know,
word, Pantone.
printing, so you know.
I know what a Pantone.
Yeah. So they'll give us a color
Yep.
for us to try to get close to, and we get as close as we can.
was
It's amazing how close we actually
Oh,
get
yeah.
with limiting, we're with these pellets, because we don't, like I said, we only have
Yeah.
8 pellets to deal with, 8 different colors.
Well, that was always the skill as a printer, wasn't it? It's to sit there and mix your own colours and
mix
get them
your
right.
own.
Yeah.
But that was a little bit more of a science, you could weigh it, and
Yeah.
but there's no science involved here. It's hit and miss.
It's always difficult when you're doing 4-color press, though, to try and match it. If you're doing individual colours,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we're sound testing in here. This is one of the rooms. We have another room. And these are test pressings behind us here. So on a new release, when we set it up, if we hear anything abnormal, because it's amazing what some people actually record into their, that we think is no good, but they actually, that's what they want or whatever.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you know about that. So we have the test pressings that were approved. We send out 4 copies to a client, and then we keep 2 copies for ourselves, and we'll check it against the test pressing. But normally what they're doing is spot checking for off center, weighing the record if it's 180 gram to make sure it's 180 gram. Looking for any defects, because most defects on a record are visual.
Oh, I see.
You can see most.
When they're
if
brand new
a-
like that, it's so beautiful.
If a stamper should get damaged, or if you get non-fill or something
Right.
on a record, then you can pretty much see that. And then these are the steps to make a record. We have a lacquer cut by Pete, and then we spray it with silver, which I think we're doing. I'll show you that in a second. To make a metal, this is nickel.
It's nickel.
So the lacquer itself is a positive, so we're making a negative out of it. Then we put that negative back in the plating tank and make another positive,
Yep.
which is known as the mother. From that, we make another negative, and then we center it, coin the edges, and this is what goes on the press to press the record. And then the record, of course, is a positive.
Wow. That's amazing.
And there's another testing room. And the other thing we can do here is play mothers as well. So we can check under the scope and see if there's an issue with the test pressing, to see if it originated in the lacquer cutting, if it originated with us in the plating, or if it's just the record issue.
Right.
So we can look at all those things here.
That's amazing.
Are we in your way, Tim?
Not at all.
Sorry.
We'll come back here in a second. I want you
Okay.
to see the... Morning, Jay. So we prepare the lacquer to get sprayed, and sprayed with silver. And the silver allows the process is electroplating, so it needs to conduct electricity. So the silver allows the electrical current to go through it.
Sure.
The lacquer itself is an insulator, so it doesn't, there's no,
So you're washing the lacquer first?
Right, we're
Make sure there's
preparing
no like chips and stuff
Yeah.
on it.
get it really clean.
Super clean, right? And then it goes in here.
He's gonna go in here and he's gonna spray it with silver. Then it'll go in a pre-plate tank. So it's silver nitrate. So the silver hardens onto the disc.
Yeah.
It's two chemicals, and when they come together, they harden. It's kind of how they used to make mirrors.
Oh, it's
Spray glass with silver.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a 7
Very
inch.
nice. I'm guessing he's done quite a few 100,000
Yeah.
of those in his life.
Yeah. How many lacquers do you think you sprayed over the years?
Wow.
Yeah, he's been with us for 20, 22, 23. How long have you been here? 23 years?
Almost 22.
22.
22 years.
He's back in 94.
Yeah.
Excellent work.
Over there.
That goes into the pre-plate tank. So these are nickel baths. The pre-plate tank,
You just put it into there.
it'll stay in there for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And it gets a fine face of nickel onto it. And the difference between the pre-plate tank and these tanks is just the temperature. These tanks are 135 degrees, and this one's about 110. And
So-
just to get that first flash of nickel on the face of that silver, then it'll be transferred into either that tank or one of these tanks.
So it's a solution of nickel.
Nickel sulfamate,
Yeah.
and then, which is a corrosive,
Yeah.
and these are nickel anodes,
Oh yeah.
99.99% pure nickel.
Yeah.
That's constantly breaking down, so you have nickel particles in the
Oh,
floating
so the
in
way it
nickel
is going
sulfamate.
down into the. I see.
Right. And then you've got your positive and negative current that pulls the nickel to the face of the plate.
Oh. So it's electrically charged. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
How much trouble would it be to get something separated? How much trouble would it be to get something separated?
Not at all. Want to separate one?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me one second.
Gives them more of an idea what's happening.
Right.
One of these. Some mother.
So did you bet on the Warriors?
I won.
Oh, you bet on
I won
Cleveland?
for Cleveland.
Okay.
Ready?
All right. So what do you?
Connor
What,
here. You ready, Connor?
you got a mother and
Mother
master?
in the map.
Master. Okay.
Go.
Beautiful.
Master.
So that's the master, which is the negative,
Yeah.
and you can tell everything's written backwards.
Yep.
That's the negative, and then the positive.
Makes perfect sense. I always wonder, like, why do they bother writing in it? Perfect sense.
Is right reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine all these parts with nothing inscribed in
Nothing
it.
inscribed.
How to keep them, keep
Yeah.
track of them.
Simple logic. Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then in this room, in here we do the finishing for the stampers. So we back sand them, we trim them, we center them. Everything's centered to, when he cuts the lacquer, there's one concentric, the last groove is a concentric circle
Yep.
to the center, and everything then is centered to that concentric groove that he cut.
So what's he doing at the moment?
He's just back sanding the stamper.
Hours.
And then we form the edges, and then it goes on the press. Watch your toes. The pipes are hot, so be careful. So you have an A and a B5 stamper formed. This is after it's pressed about 1,500 records, but it's formed, goes onto the mold. You got an A side and a B side. You got your A and B label.
Yep.
The vinyl goes into an extruder as a pellet.
Yep.
Comes out about 275 degrees. It's about the consistency of bubble gum.
Yep.
So you'll see when that opens up, it looks like a hockey puck. Center pin comes down, goes under about 1,800 pounds of pressure. The die is heated up and then it's cooled off. That's what these valves are, is steam and water. It takes about 32 to 35 seconds.
It's amazing. That's incredible. I never knew that the label and the pressing was all done
Yeah,
with one.
it's all molded.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're glued on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. That's where it comes out.
So you also got to keep in mind that these presses are 40 years old. The newest one.
The newest one's 40 years old.
Yeah.
Is anybody making them?
There is a guy, there's two guys starting to build presses now.
Oh, so it's trimmed like that afterwards?
So it's carried out by the excess flash and then goes onto a trimming table and trims off the excess. And then the last one that got trimmed will be delivered.
Wow.
And other than inspection, packaging, that's a finished record.
Amazing. How many of these do you have?
15 running,
15 running.
24 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Oh, 6 days a week.
So the trim is still pretty hot.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You got stronger hands. That's really
The reason
hot.
why it's so hot
Yeah.
is because when it presses out, it's beyond the mold, so it
Yeah.
doesn't get the cooling that the record does.
I see, yeah. That makes sense. Wow, it's really hot. That's
So
you're brave lion.
this will harden up in a minute.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'll give it to you when we're done. But the record itself is just warm to the touch.
Oh yeah. Not even close to that temperature.
And then the process, as I said, is steam and cooling water.
Yeah.
So these are steam boilers generating the steam.
Yeah.
Cooling tower, we recycle all the cooling water. There's a lot that goes into making a record.
Oh yeah.
People think you pop them in a toaster and they pop right out, you know?
They don't.
Watch your head.
we do 7-inch as well.
You do 10-inch?
Yeah.
You have a 10-inch press as well, right?
We changed the mold on one of the presses.
On the 12 to make it
About every 3 months we run all the 10-inch orders and we change it back to a 12-inch. Wait till we build up a backlog of 10-inch and put it back on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And I had these presses in the warehouse for parts that we're starting to rebuild. That last one will probably never get running, I don't think. But this one we rebuilt. We finished about 6 months ago.
So you're going to get another couple up and running?
This one we're working on now.
What year was this made?
Around 75, 76.
Oh, okay.
The ones on the end were built in the early 70s. Yeah. And then we have inspectors who inspect them, put them in the sleeve,
Yep.
and then they'll sit on the cart for 24 hours because they're still cooling
Yep.
before we put them in the jacket.
Right.
Helps keep them from warping.
That makes sense.
Then we have to dry all the labels
Yeah.
because if there's any moisture from humidity or whatever in the paper,
Yep.
when it goes in the press and goes under that heat and pressure, that moisture wants to escape and it bubbles the label. If you bought that many records, you've seen some bubbled labels,
I
I'm
have,
sure.
yeah.
That's what causes that. It's the moisture. So we warm them up first to get rid of the moisture.
Wow.
There. Now you can have it.
Now it's hard.
This is what the vinyl looks like when we buy it.
Coffee bean.
Oh, yeah. That's how it starts.
That's crazy. And this goes back into
And this will grind up and
Yeah.
use it again.
Nice.
And then in here we're packaging. So everything's pretty much done by hand.
It's really quite a
there's no-
task.
Yeah. There's no real automation for any of this. And it's all
Yeah, who wants to automate handling vinyl?
Yeah.
That would be horrible, wouldn't it?
And then you got inserts that goes in. Some packages have 2, 3 inserts. That one's got
Because everybody now is doing, the digital download
Right.
card with it.
so
What's going in this one?
a download card,
Oh, I see. So here's the download card.
probably a lyric sheet.
Great. Sorry, it's my fault, not his.
And then you get
Oh wow, this is this is really going for it, isn't it? It's got its own sleeve. We've got
it's kind of custom made sleeve.
that's beautiful. Wow. I bought Ace of Spades when it first came out, Motorhead. It's an overkill exclusive version, limited edition, etched 7-inch. Oh, with an Ace of Spades it goes
Yeah.
in it as well?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
And
incredible.
then it goes into a vinyl bag.
Wow. Sorry. Oh, they come in a full, it looks like
Yeah.
a playing card
Yeah.
pack. That's amazing.
So just imagine keeping all these components straight
Oh, yeah.
every day for.
Oh, so this is the etched vinyl. I'll let you open it up. I don't want to
Yeah.
I don't want to handle it badly. Oh, that's amazing. So how do you etch that?
So we send it to a place and he laser etches it, or he actually uses acid. So we give him a piece of film, a negative,
Yeah.
and then he'll lay it over it and he'll etch it. Some are etched by lasers themselves. This guy uses acid.
It's crazy. And on the back, it's swirled.
Just, yeah.
So that's another one of your hand process?
No, this is actually it's a metallic silver, and they just kind of come out like that.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Were you running a press where you were
No, I
mixing
was
colors?
looking to see if we had
Oh,
one
that's okay.
going by hand, but we did not.
It's quite all right.
And after they're packaged, get shrink wrap.
Oh.
Then we flip them to, that keeps, you know how the jacket has a spine, so if you put them all in a box facing one way, they'll be uneven.
Right.
So we flip each record.
Oh, that makes
back
sense.
and forth.
Yeah, because of the spine, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense, yeah. And these all the records coming up, they're going to come up soon.
These were
so-
the last orders.
Oh, the last one's right.
Yeah.
Creedence.
Creedence.
Yeah.
Beach Boys.
Oh, Endless Summer, look at that.
And then if they take a marketing sticker or something, then they don't go in the box, they go back in the carts, and then we sticker them, and then we box them up.
That's incredible. So there's a lot of manpower, a lot of time and detail.
A lot of handwork
Yeah.
involved.
A little different
And for
from our
the-
digital downloads.
Yeah, for the records, I don't know if you want to see CDs and stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Ah, a lot colder in here. And I don't mean as in yo, I mean as in temperature.
So back here we make CDs, similar to vinyl in the sense that we put a nickel stamper inside the mold. They're one-sided only. And this is injection molding. So that's the stamper.
How old are these machines?
97. Yeah, so almost 20 years old.
Just new for you and I.
They've seen their day though.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they're great machines. They've worked out really well, but they're starting to wear down.
Right.
I don't think they'll run 40 years like a record press.
God bless digital. So this is a different process to this. Most people when they order CDRs are just getting them burnt by guys in batches of 10 or 50 or whatever.
We're actually molding the disc.
Right.
That's your polycarbonate there.
Yeah.
It melts into an extruder, comes out like the consistency of maybe maple syrup or so. Gets injected into the molds and it hardens. So the whole process is about 4 seconds. So it's a closed mold where vinyl is compression molding, which is an open mold and you have excess.
Yep.
Injection mold is a closed mold and you inject a measured amount of material into that mold.
That makes sense. So every single one of these is completely unique, made for that particular album.
So when it comes out, this is the only waste here. It's called a sprue, which is the tail end of what gets injected.
Yep.
And then this gets pulled out. This has all the information on it. It's already on that stamper. We've already recorded the information.
All onto this.
All onto that. So you can see where it starts, the difference in texture there. It's clear, and then it kind of goes into a...
Okay, so I am completely naive. So basically, this is all the information on the clear part, and
then it gets metallized.
And
The reason for the metal is for your laser to have something to reflect off of.
Makes perfect sense. So that's crazy. So that's really all the information on the CD there.
Yeah.
See, I'm totally naive. I assumed that was reflected off, but I thought that also carried the information.
So it goes in, gets sputtered with aluminum. So it goes in here. When it comes out, it's got an aluminum coating on it.
Yeah.
Then the aluminum's covered with a coating of lacquer.
Yeah.
So it doesn't oxidize or rub off on your hands when you buy it. That lacquer gets cured by an ultraviolet light. Then this QCs it for any manufacturing defects like holes in the aluminum or any streaks or any problems with the disc. And if it's no good, it'll get rejected. If it's good, it goes on the spindle. And each one of those spindles has 165 on it.
Crazy.
Like
So
quite a bit faster than making a record.
A lot faster than making a record. So we're all wondering, how did it get to be $17.99 in the 90s?
Yeah. You'll have to talk to the record companies about that.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm not getting that.
No, I guess. Hey, so my question would be, and this is a naive one, Pete probably knows the answer already, is so when people buy those writable ones, what are they writing onto?
So there's a dye inside that it burns the image in there, and I don't know a lot about recordable discs, but there is a dye I know inside, and that's what you're recording onto.
So really it's because they're the ones that are probably decaying faster than those ones.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the life of a recordable
Yeah.
But
some of them
these hold up quite a while.
Yeah.
Then we print right on the disc.
Those are the ones that the current ones being made.
Or samples.
The samples, right?
Yeah. So we print a white flood on top of the disc because printing the 4-color process on top of silver doesn't give you a true color. So we print white first, and then we print the image on top of the white. So here we're printing the 4-color process.
So do you retool sometimes for spot colors?
We can do a spot color on the end. We can add a.
We're being printers now.
6
Talking
color.
print. So you can do one where, like on the very end of the process.
Yeah.
So remember that was a big deal. You'd get the 4-color press, but then the guys that had the 5-color.
Right, for the spot color.
Color, yeah.
UV coating or
UV
whatever.
coating, yeah.
Right.
But it's amazing. Whatever you do in print, there always was a manual component. There's just nothing you could do about it. Right?
So they go in just as a silver disc,
Yeah.
and they come out printed.
That's great. Well, thanks for showing this as well. I didn't know you guys did CDs as well. So
We do.
Yeah. It looked like were there DVD packages you were making as well?
We have a DVD line also,
Oh, well.
similar to the CD.
Similar to the CDs, right? Also DVDs.
And then we don't have. There are automated. We have automation for the standard jewel box, the plastic case for CDs, but
Yeah.
for the different wallets and different cardboard packages and stuff, we don't have any automation, so we do that by hand.
That's wonderful. Well, there's something about vinyl we were talking about earlier that's just, I don't know, the experience of vinyl is such a huge deal. I was talking to Pete,
Yeah.
That's still the biggest thing for me is just that excitement of unwrapping it, and especially the gatefold, opening up the gatefold, and having something tangible.
It
you
was
could
funny
hold.
yesterday. I just got one of my sons who temporarily has moved back to the house. Just got him a turntable for his birthday. So yesterday he's sitting in his room with a buddy and they're listening to vinyl. And I was saying to my wife, how reminiscent of the 70s and when we were growing up. I mean, there they were sitting, listening to vinyl.
Yeah, the one thing about the digital, regardless of quality, because actually I don't have a problem with digital quality, is the fact that I don't have that experience anymore. And it's wonderful that people are coming back to it, but it's more than that. I think it's a connection with an artist, because if you love an artist and you love music, you want to support them.
Yeah.
And it's not all just about that.
Right.
There's all this cynical thing about downloads and even illegal downloads. The point is there's more music getting out to people than ever. But for the fan, vinyl is just, it's taking it to the
You
next
got
level.
that 12 by 12 piece of artwork
Yeah.
that, is a collector by itself. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people buy vinyl and don't ever play the records. They buy
True.
them for the covers.
Hey, for Led Zeppelin 3, when you're spinning the wheel and you're seeing whose face is going to come up.
Right, who's going to come up? Right. And like I was showing you in the plant, you got multiple of inserts, so you can do
Yeah.
a lot of different types of packaging, and then playing the record it's kind of a social experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's an experience.
Well, yes, and back in days of old, people used to do all kinds of things using that vinyl cover.
Yeah. We won't go there.
We'll go there, but you can make up your own minds with comments
Yeah.
below. So I heard, none of us would have done that. Well, this was really wonderful. So you started in 71. You started as a printer. You were running that Heidelberg.
That Heidelberg windmill, and then that was 71, and then Rainbow moved to a new plant in 73. We were building the new plant in Santa Monica, and Jack needed somebody who could kind of oversee deal with the contractors and communicate back to him. And so we moved the print shop to Santa Monica first, and I spent the year there dealing with building the plant, and learned a lot in just building that plant. And then when we moved over, and like I said, when I got out of school, Jack said, would you consider staying on? And here it is, 45 years later.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, and it's been a great journey. It's been a fun journey. It's pretty cool to see artists, start out making a few records and go on to stardom, and then of course once they reach those plateaus, they usually leave us as a pressing plant, because back then all the majors had their own pressing plants.
Oh, they did, right.
Columbia and RCA, and they all had their own pressing plants. So once you signed a contract with a major, you moved to their pressing plant.
But no majors have pressing plants anymore.
No.
So like we were saying, you're doing everything Capitol and Universal,
Right.
which of course is,
Right.
that's a great legacy, because you've got current
Yeah.
bands.
Capitals, this is their 75th year, and they're just reissuing a bunch of stuff for their 75th, which is pretty cool.
Which for America is incredible, because of course it's the Beach Boys and the Beatles.
Right.
Really don't need to say much else other than that.
I'll talk about Sinatra and Dean Martin, but
No, Sinatra and Dean Martin is very valid.
Yeah.
Whenever we go to Capitol Records, just to go to their building, and then they've got the Sinatra's kind of floor, I suppose.
yeah, it's a cool building.
Oh, it's an amazing
It's a
building.
really cool building.
I'm glad to see they're buying it back. They sold it, and now they're buying it
and
back
then
again.
getting it back.
Yeah, good
And
for them.
I think it's now a historical landmark in
Good.
LA. I believe. I think it was. I believe that was done a couple of years ago.
Yeah, there was a horrible rumor that there was going to be apartments in there,
Yeah.
and they were going to
Yeah.
get rid of all of the echo chambers. There's all these
Right.
terrible rumors in the LA
Right.
Weekly and LA Times, but I think now, from what I can tell, that since Universal, whatever, they're going to keep all of their history, which is amazing. And going there, as you know, is just
No, it's a really cool building.
yeah.
The window shades are the edge of the record,
Yep.
and a lot of people look at it and they say, oh, it's round like a record, but they don't realize the sphere on the top is the needle,
Yep.
and the window shades are kind of the edge of the record.
Yeah.
And-
For those that don't remember, we used to stack our records up,
right,
and they
Right.
one would drop and play.
right.
Stars would come off, go back down. Another one would drop.
So that's
stars
why
would
you
come
have
down.
a groove guard. So the groove guard and the center label are the two highest points of a record.
Yep.
And then where the grooves are themselves are shallower. So when you drop those records on top of each other, you didn't scuff the grooves. The grooves never hit each other.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Just that tiny little lip on the
Right.
outside, and then
Right.
what's incredible, I didn't know was, and you were demonstrating, was the label being molded in at the same time,
Yeah.
which I never knew.
Yeah.
Always assumed that was glued, which
Which most people do.
which would have been another process anyway.
There was a process years ago. There was one plant called E10 that made styrene 7-inch records. So the quality wasn't very good. They had a lot of surface noise. Very brittle because they were made with styrene, which snaps real easy. But it was an injection molding process, and they could do 8 in a mold. And then they rolled through this. It was a pretty neat system. They rolled down, and there was these gluers that glued the labels on both sides. It was quite a process.
I always wondered, because the stamping process and seeing it in action was incredible. I always wondered why you couldn't mold it. Is it just something that makes absolutely
Injection molding?
Yeah, injection molding.
People have tried it.
Yep.
They just don't come out sounding very good. I guess because of the plastics that are involved in injection molding.
right?
So
And the vinyl itself, what is the compound? I've never.
So it's PVC, polyvinyl chloride. It's specially compounded for records. So, but it's basically the same as PVC piping or
I see.
a lot of different processes for PVC. But this is specially compounded for records.
Is there anything when it's special? Does it have to be more or less malleable than other?
It's softer. It's quieter. I mean, it's, you know, we're dealing with two things on record. We're dealing with cosmetics, and we're also dealing with sound, which makes it a pretty unique molding process.
Right. And now with the picture discs, how are those done? We didn't get to talk about those when we were
So a
walking
picture disc is, you take a sheet of vinyl.
Yep.
It's on a manual press, and you put the sheet on the top half, you put a sheet on the bottom half. Then there's a printed picture
Yep.
on a piece of paper, picture on the top, picture on the bottom, and then you take some of the vinyl, glob of vinyl, put it in the center, and then you press it, and it basically sandwiches the whole
I
thing
see.
together. So it sandwiches the edges.
But it's still using the same basic machines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all done by manual. Everything's done by hand.
Oh, wow.
Then you push two buttons and the mold goes in, goes through its cycle. But when it comes out, you take the record out by hand and you put it on a trimmer and you trim it by hand.
I see. Because you've got to trim the paper
Right.
edge as well as the vinyl.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I always wondered how you could do that, especially after just seeing the machines, how that
Yeah,
could be
so
done.
that's very specialized, done by hand. A lot of the splatter records that you see out today are the ones that are done in like 3 different colors that are specifically like a triangle of blue, a triangle of white, and a triangle of red.
Yep.
Those are all done by hand as well, where someone actually puts the vinyl on the mold.
Oh, that's incredible. And then we were looking at the sort of tie-dye versions, the sort of Grateful Dead looking
Yeah. So
stuff.
that process, what we do is we call it a starburst, but we have someone who stands basically on top of the extruder and pours in the pellets to keep them separate as they go through the extruder. And then when they go into that cake cup and then go into the press, you get this kind of burst effect of the different colors. And as I was saying, no two records are ever identical, which makes it very unique.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think there's probably certain genres, jam band kind of music that probably loves that stuff.
Yeah, now the retailers have jumped on the bandwagon of having, so one retailer will say, I want that release in this color, and another retailer says, we want our own unique color.
That's great.
So there's some releases where we can press 3-4 different colors for the same release.
I love that. See, as a fan, it's interesting, you know, we're all fans of music, you know, whether it be from Sinatra to the Beatles and everything before and after. You know, I love that. I still like collecting things.
That's
I
pretty
like-
cool. That's pretty cool.
It just sort of brings you closer. It's something tangible that you can hold. Yeah.
And just the uniqueness of it, you
Yeah.
know, it's not playing the same mundane little disc
Yeah.
or something. Oh, no, it's very cool.
You did the Beatles box set we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
which is,
Which was, yeah, we won't go into the aggravations, but it was
it was a
it was
lot of
quite
work.
an honor to do it. It was
A lot of work.
looking back, it was a lot of work. I don't think I'd ever do it again, but it was quite an honor to do it.
And it was 50,000 unique,
Limited
editions,
box set, which
16
had,
albums.
Yeah, 14, 2 of them were doubles, so there's 16 records in there, plus a book. And it was a great package.
Well, thank you ever so much for showing us around.
Great, my pleasure.
It's really amazing. Oh, you know what? Before we go, tell us about these two machines here, because we're sitting in front of them for that reason.
So this is a music box from around the 1890s. And so I like to refer to it as the first digital. But
Well, it is kind of zeros and ones, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's a zero,
exactly.
there's a one. On off.
that sounds incredible for being 125 years old.
That's beautiful.
And to change the song, you just change the disc.
Is that the original picture?
Yeah.
That's the original
Yeah.
picture
Yeah.
from 125 years ago?
And it'll either continuously play if you keep this button out, or if you put it in, it'll go one rotation and then stop
It's amazing.
on its own. Which it'll stop here in a second, and we'll play this one.
It's amazing. This is an Edison.
And then you got an Edison.
So wait, before we get started, so the way it was recorded was
In a cone.
a cone.
And sing directly into it.
Yep.
And there was a stylus that would cut, when people refer to records as wax, because it would cut into a piece of wax.
Wow.
And that was the first cut.
And did they use the same process that you do? Would they take the wax that way, or how would they turn that into something you could stamp records?
The process of making these is different, because this is like a shellac material.
Yep.
And honestly, I never saw it being done, so I
understand.
couldn't tell you exactly how it was done.
And then as far as the stylus and stuff, it's basically the same process of recording in reverse.
Right, in reverse.
Yeah.
And you got your diaphragm, your needle.
If we look at the cone here, it's all moving in one movement. That's amazing. And then you were showing us the volume
And then-
control.
Yeah, the volume control on this particular player is pretty cool. That's it, the little plunger. But, you got to think about this with no electronics involved. I mean, this is totally acoustic, analog, and this artist, whoever she is, had this sing into the stone, and there's no editing, no taking again.
Do you think they were hand controlling it? Or was it mechanics?
That I don't know.
Probably the very earliest were probably hand.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
I've seen some early ones that cut with, they had like counterweights to turn the disc and to move the head over.
That makes sense.
But to hit notes like that, and I mean, it's just pretty amazing.
Beautiful.
What is her name?
Emmy Destin.
Okay.
In Italian. It says in Italian, Emmy Destin.
I should definitely give her credit, because
Yeah.
I
Soprano.
played this for quite a few people.
Soprano with orchestra. In Italian, Emmy Destin. With 2 N's. That's beautiful. So thank you ever so
great.
much. Really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. This is, for me, is a huge honor to see all of this, because again, that was from 1975 until now. Really, it's vinyl's always been a part of my life.
It's pretty neat for me to show people around, because people don't realize what goes into making a record.
Yeah.
And they think it's so simple, or like I said, they think you pop them into a toaster and they pop out and they're all recorded. And
Yeah, I think there's
a
probably
lot.
that. Like I naively thought that there might be. I've seen stuff on about it before, so I do know the basic principles. But I think when I was a little kid, I probably expected it all to be injection molded.
Yeah.
Just be like, and they all came out the other
Right.
side,
Right.
stamped.
Just all ready to go.
Yeah,
all ready to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bring in the tape, and the record comes out 20 minutes later.
No, it's pretty cool.
All right. Well, thanks very much.
Great.
Please, as ever, leave a bunch of questions and comments below. I really appreciate this. This has been a wonderful experience for me. I hope you're really enjoying it, and have a marvelous time recording and mixing.